Didn't you think of moving away? Oh, no, then again, San Francisco.
Lost.
The Cult of
Frisco!
Welcome to the Cult of Frisco podcast. My name is Beak, and I'm here with my co-host in New York,
Harry Envy.
Hello, Harry Envy. I'm in recorded, not so live in San Francisco. I've got my 8-year-old son to the left of me playing very inappropriate video games. Father of the Year. And we're about a week and a half late with this podcast, but, actually work's been kicking my ass, and it sounds like it's been kicking Harry's ass, too. But nobody wants to hear about work. People come here.
Or the weather.
They come here to talk about Doctor Who. And we love talking about Doctor Who, although we don't do it with English accents because clearly we're not English. So I think we have a different point of view. Or maybe we just think our opinion is just really grandiose and way more important than it really is, which is probably the case. So, Harry, last time we spoke, we had a episode. It was part 1. It was Dark Water. It was a fabulous episode with one of the best endings of a Doctor Who episode since Turn Left, in my opinion. Turn Left is my favorite ending of any Doctor Who episode. That last minute of Turn Left is just like goosebumps, awesome, kick ass. After one of the better Doctor Who's too, but this one really took the cake, and we were proved right. But we didn't dance around and do the "told you so" dance too much, did we?
Ooh, no.
I'm sorry, am I boring? Are we boring you? Are we keeping you awake,
Yes,
Harry?
you're boring me. Jeez.
Maybe you need to have a satanic monster made from baby's blood.
I get enough Satan in me already.
All up in you.
All up in me. All up in me. Oh.
Yes. So, Death in Heaven. We're going to talk about, there's been some announcements, Harry. There's been some big news, but let's go dive right into the second half of the 2-part finale that was very strange. Death in Heaven. What was your take on it, Harry?
I liked it, but it was a weird episode, I think, in regards to not really pacing. Like, a lot happened, but a lot didn't happen.
That's really well said.
Like we were saying before we realized my volume was turned down low.
Yeah. I thought we weren't going to mention that.
Oh, no, we're mentioning it. Was that if you watch these, if they had aired them back to back, like if they did a 2-hour finale, it would have been, I think, amazing back to back. But having that week apart, I don't know if it hurt the episode, but I think it was a lot more build up. Like you were a lot more excited to sit down and watch the episode, especially because it was a few minutes longer than the ones in the past, which we've said early on with the first episodes. That's what they were missing, was those extra few minutes. But there was a few things in it, like the Clara Danny story. It kind of felt like it was a weird way to end it. And what else? And Missy's final moment. I'm like, if that was supposed to be, because it's like speculation is that blast killed her, but a part of me is like, I didn't want that. Felt like a weak way to go out.
Okay, well,
and I want more. I want so much more from her.
That's going to explain the Master coming back as either a man or Missy coming back. Because I wanted to dive. Let's talk about we'll just dive into that right away.
Yeah.
If you have been paying attention from the beginning of the season, which I know you have been, and you clever fans are, Misty has spent much of her time inside the Nethersphere.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yep.
So either that piece of technology escaped Gallifrey, had been out of Gallifrey, or the Master escaped with it. I'm more of the belief that something brought that piece of technology out there, and the Master just happened to be in it. And I think that something is Gus. We will talk about Gus later. There's a lot of, what Moffat does is he, sometimes better than others, he's really good at telling you a story and giving you bits for another story and making you completely forget these really open-ended questions. Now, he doesn't answer them all the time, but that's largely due to actors leaving. Okay, that's not due to him. That's due to actors leaving. Hence, the Rory is the Master, which could still happen. But clearly, the Master's not dead. For one, the Master fears death more than anything, and the Master was so unafraid of dying. Missy, we'll just call her Missy. I'm sorry. Yeah. I apologize to all women out there. Missy, she is now the mistress. The Mastress is the Mastress. The Mastress. That's it. She was clearly not afraid of dying. She is clearly not dead. Okay. Every hint was out there that you don't spend a whole year bringing the Master back and then gone. And that's kind of, they did that. Remember when the Master died, when it was John Sim, they never really did solve the in his head. And me watching it at the time, I didn't give it much thought. I just thought that was part of his madness, but it was a major plot point to be brought back later. The Master is definitely coming back, and she will Missy will probably come back at Capaldi's end, I predict. Because I definitely think that Daleks will play into it next year, or maybe even more Cybermen. They still haven't full on brought the Cyberman back. The Cybermen have been used as a tool. They almost came back, but then they were destroyed. So I think, and I always, as you're watching Doctor Who, just know that whatever plot is going around, the Daleks are behind the major plot. Even the Master ends up being a subplot to the Daleks' larger plot against the and I think there is a larger plot going on here, because one of the questions, we could start back before we start getting into speculation for next season. Let's talk I'm saying this to myself. Let's talk about the episode a little bit before we get there, because I've given this a lot of thought. I thought the episode was really disjointed, but I enjoyed it.
It was.
I am totally pissed Osgood is dead. I am just spoiler warning. What the hell? And that was Moffat going all Game of Thrones on us, by the way.
Because there was those moments where it's like when Missy, that whole thing. Hey Missy.
I know, that was great.
When Missy undoes her chains, kills the guards, throws the Brigadier's daughter out the plane. I was like, fucking A, everyone's gonna die in this episode. And then it's just like you find Kate, that's her name. You find Kate's alive, but it was the whole Danny's gone, and you're like, but Danny.
Yeah, Danny's end was weird. It was weird.
It was a weird thing because you find out that he wasn't the only one, but he went against the programming of the Cyberman programming.
Yep.
And okay, can we just say how fucking good Jenna Coleman was this episode?
She's
the whole thing when she's with the Cyberman and doing the whole Clara Oswald's never real. I'm the doctor, and it's this whole thing. It was just like.
Oh, and did she drop more information in 30 seconds than we've ever heard about Doctor Who before? Been married 4 times. Don't know where my family is.
So much. You're just all because also too. Remember what was it? The beginning of Dark Water. She had all those. They were all those Post-it notes around her room, which Madam had a stuff deal that she dealt with her time with him. So it was kind of this whole little thing. I think she's been trying to work her own unraveling in the. Her own unraveling of his past. I think it's probably ever since she saw him as a child.
Absolutely, and I there was an article about a month ago on DoctorWhoTV.co.uk. Great site, go to it. That's where I get all my news. about how that really felt out of time. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's a timey-wimey thing. Again, coming at the end of this Christmas episode, which I'm pretty convinced at this point that Clara's last episode is coming up. They've all but said so. There's already speculation of the new companion, which will probably be announced shortly after the Christmas episode. But as far as Jenna Coleman, like just completely turning me around and turning everybody in the fan base around who's still around. Now, there is a lot of people who left the fan base. And it wasn't because of her. It was because of Capaldi, which is, we can get into that argument. I have grown to like Capaldi, but we can talk about how I think they might have made a mistake. And if the Doctor Who's canceled after season 10, we can talk about that. I think it'll make it at least to season 10. I'm not sure after that. Honestly, I'm not sure. You either go woman at that point, but I still think. Oh, I'm getting way ahead of myself. So back to the episode. You all saw it. We're not going to break it down for you. We're just going to give you what we think, and it was really shocking, on all aspects. Clara delivered. The Danny thing. I knew he was going to end up as Cyberman. I knew it from a spoiler. I just didn't know how they were going to pull it off, and I think they pulled it off the best they could. It's still mildly cheesy, especially with the soldier speech at the end, but it was still good. I'm really curious to see how long time Doctor Who fans, we're talking like guys probably older than me, felt about Brigadier Leftward Stewart being brought back as a Cyberman. Holy shit. I'm surprised Moffit wasn't fucking lynched for that. I personally loved it because they finally, they
foreshadowed it too. Like when they had him in the aircraft.
You brought Daddy with you.
He's like, you brought Daddy with her, and she even said, all he ever really wanted was you to salute him.
Yeah. He saw you should have just asked.
So it was like there was your foreshadow right there. So because at first I was like, who the fuck is that? And I'm thinking, oh, it's the Brigadier. That's who it was.
And to Doctor Who's response, I'm going to talk. This is a response you hear in relationships a lot. Yeah. Which was, you should have just asked. Let me tell you what a fucking bullshit fucking response that is. If somebody has to ask for fucking a salute or a hug or you say I love you, it takes any kind of feeling out of it. You need to come up and do that shit on your own. Okay? Wow, did that sound like I had an issue?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
Exactly.
Tell me about your mother, Gary.
Exactly.
Whoa.
But back, Gary. Let's discuss about last night. Exactly. What is the monster telling you, Gary?
I'm sorry. My daddy never told me he loved me. Never mind. So, again. What we talked about in the part of the episode where I accidentally had your volume down and we're redoing this, I'm just going to come out and cop to it, okay? Technical genius, worked at Technicolor, yeah. This really felt like the second half of Dark Water, and it should have, should have, could have, would have. I don't know if you did, but I went back and did watch them just back to back, solid, and it's much better. And I'm sure on DVD, these episodes are not made here in America for commercial breaks. They don't have commercial breaks in the United Kingdom, but we don't pay television license. So I can't wait to see it on DVD without like a break. And it's a much better, it's a great episode, but it is one of the most unusual finales. Okay, I hate to rank things, but let's rank it modern finales.
Modern finales.
Where would you rank this, Harry?
Let me see. Season 1, season 2. Yeah, I think 2 is no.
Season 1, we had a regeneration.
4 is probably still my favorite finale.
Absolutely.
Because and it was another kind of two-parter, but each one stood on their own. They're great together, but they still kind of stood by themselves. It was probably like I bawled my eyes out of that finale because of Rose. If you're talking Time of the Doctor by itself as a finale, because it kind of was.
Yeah.
I don't right now. Like it's, and I'm trying to think. What were the finales for? It was the the Wedding of River Song in 6.
I mean, they're tough. Okay, we had Regeneration. We had finale 5 was the Big Bang 2. You know,
that's right.
Pretty much,
yeah, it was the Amy recreating the universe. Yeah,
Amy recreating the universe and the wedding, and her doing something borrowed, something blue at the end. I mean,
she's all Get Out Here, you owe me a dance.
So yeah, we had a Regeneration. We had Rose leaving. We had the Return of the Master, which was an epic return in season 3. Absolutely wonderful. Utopia is a great episode. We had season 4, in my opinion, the best. We had season 5, The Big Bang 2. We had season 6, The Wedding of River Song. Then we had The Time of the Doctor leading into the 50th anniversary. This is tough. How would you rank this? So we're both agreeing that the 4th season was the best.
Yeah, honestly, comparing all other, well, I guess other 9 if you count Time of the Doctor. Was it the two-parter? The Time Lord one with the end of Tennant's run. I honestly would say this is like the worst one. If you had to compare, if you're comparing them like in a list, it was
I would put it at 7 or 8.
Because even if it has Darkwater and Death in Heaven together, it's just how it was like the first. It's like you going to see a movie. The first act is like, yeah, but the second act was like, oh, okay. And that's kind of how it felt, especially in the last few minutes. Like after it was done, after the Cybermen are gone, Missy disappears. It's this whole like there's been a break between Clara and 12, and that's when you realize that we're not getting Danny back because he gave up his way out to the kid that he killed. And then the final finale is her and the Doctor breaking up, in a sense. It was, and that was the whole thing. Was like it was Clara's entire season with this Doctor has been about how do I end this relationship. That's been the entire.
Pretty much. I mean, she's just not.
Her arc. That's been her arc, and she ended it. But then realized, like an addict, she had to have one more hit, and stayed with him longer, and realized, and it's just like, and then like this whole turnaround, trying to get Danny back. It just kind of, it really was Clara's arc with Capaldi was her ending her relationship with the
How
Doctor.
do I quit you?
How do I quit you? Because exactly, it's like because it was at first unsure of like. This isn't gonna. You're not the Doctor I was imagining. You've changed, and now it's like they got married. And now she's seeing him for who he really is, and all that shit.
See, I don't know what the because I read a lot of fan sites, so they're all rah 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 rah. I don't know what the real reaction is to Capaldi. I haven't gone out and actually I still like I don't really go on Tumblr that often, and I usually am only on it when I'm trying to find the link for the episode of that came on, and usually there I'll get people's reactions. So I try not to like be like what like I try not to deal with spoilers and all that stuff. But it's like it seems like it's been a mixed bag. Like you either love him or hate him. There's not really like it's either everyone said it's like I wasn't sure, but he's grown on me, like kind of like how I am. I still don't feel like he's my Doctor yet, but I don't think he's not bad. Like he's done it. Like I think he's done a great job this season. I think I know they don't like to come out and say it, but I mean I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
If he only does 2 seasons, I'm down with him. If he's going to be, if this is a Doctor for the next 5 years, I don't know if I'm down with it, man.
No, I don't know if I can, because especially as to how they've written him. We've talked about in the past. It's like he gets written as if he's a Tennant Doctor. He has elements that he's like a Matt Smith Doctor, but it's like no, he's
not charming.
He's not charming,
and that's a really
which is why
missing aspect of it, in my opinion.
I don't guess I don't really care if he's charming. That's what the companions are for. as long as the companions are human, I'm okay with him being being kind of a douche. Like not to the extent of big like ha ha all the time, but it's just like it's
Well, the Doctor has to be, and you know what? Even Matt Smith was a douche once in a while, and Tom Baker
But it was
did it.
But it was
perfection.
also he was a lot more aloof more of the time. So whenever he was a douche, he was always a little like, "Oh, okay, this is serious," kind of thing.
So I think the next season should be, and I bet you it will be, exploring the Doctor just trying to reconnect with his Gallifreyanity, his humanity, Gallifreyanity, whatever the hell it is.
Exactly.
You know,
well, I think too, it's like because we speculated early on with after Time of the Doctor, and what was the finale of the Christmas one? What was the Christmas one called? Day of the Doctor and Time of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor and Time of the Doctor. Yeah.
And it was all of them were like name, day, time. It was just like I'm confused.
Well, it's funny because I think this Christmas special is going to be essentially another episode of this season.
Oh yeah.
And you could have made that argument with Time of the Doctor, which is absolutely it was, and because usually they stand alone, and this one is not. It's going to have Santa in. That's great.
Yeah.
And but it looks creepy. I mean, the trailer looks creepy as hell, but you could. And Clara's clearly in it. You can see it.
Yeah.
So
they've already shown a scene where Clara is interacting with Santa and like his elves, and she's just like, and it's like her talking to them, and it ends with the TARDIS appearing, and so but most of it is just like most of the scene is her and Santa, and she's just like kind of being like, "Who are you? What's this?"
Well, yeah, and they had that Children in Need special. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't catch that one.
Where Santa is pretty much breaking down the Doctor that I'm Santa,
Yeah.
And it's go watch it. Just to Google Children in Need special because it does count.
If I go on Tumblr, it'll be on there. I'll find it. Yeah.
And
kind of like what they did between what was it end of 3 before like right before the ship. Right before he hits the Titanic, they had a little special with him and the Fifth Doctor talking.
Yep.
That they like put into like those are like the milliseconds beforehand.
When is I think the release of the DVD is soon.
I think it seems like they're gonna pop. I'm like they were popping out like what was it, Deep Breath on DVD like a week later. It was already like here, buy the DVD of Deep Breath. It's like,
let me see. Blu-ray. It's available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's available like now. Let me see here. Oh, my phone's not waking up. It doesn't matter. So that's great. I will buy it and watch it. And as far as the season goes, this was a really good season. It had more good episodes than it didn't. I need to rewatch it. I just don't know how it's going to have the rewatch. Yeah. I mean, like Tenet and Matt Smith. See, I can watch that shit over and over and over and over, and just pick an episode and watch it.
Honestly, I think the ones that have rewatchability written all over them are Time Heist.
Yeah.
What was it? Flatline? Flatline?
Time Heist, Flatline, just the last 4, right? I mean,
like Mummy on the
Mummy on the Orient Express. I've actually watched like 4 times.
I think honestly in the Force of the Night and Robot of Sherwood, I think those are the two that I'm like, those are the weaker ones I felt this season compared to everything else. Because even The Caretaker was a great episode.
Oh yeah.
And that and Kill the Moon, like they all worked, and a lot of them did work well. Like they kind of like bounced off each other a lot better.
Episodes 5 to 9, and then In the Forest of the Night is probably going to be like my Fear Her. I'm not going to watch it very much, and then Dark Water. And I don't know if you watched, and I'm going to post them up. The Radio Times posters they did for each episode. Google those. I've seen most of them. Freaking awesome.
Yeah, those are awesome.
So, look at it. Oh, title December 9th. December 9th, The Doctor Who, which is, wow, that's an eternity for some. But I can't wait. I will buy it. We will review it on this before the Christmas special. But yeah, I agree with you on almost all points, Harry. The thing is, Capaldi came out and said that he wanted the Doctor to not be written likable. And I hope he wants to rephrase that is like hard to like, or
Hard,
you know,
yeah.
writing your protagonist as not likable is death for a show. Okay, I mean, unless you're House. And Peter Capaldi is not Hugh Laurie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not Hugh Laurie. That was what House was. House was he's not a likable character. There's chips in there to make him be like, no, there's a good guy underneath. You just have to work extremely hard to get to it. But I think like his doctor doesn't need to be like likable. It's just maybe harder to like. You can't fall in love with him right away like you did with the others.
It's really obvious that they really wanted to get away from the heartthrob doctor, which I don't know. I mean, was that a problem? Was that a problem with some people? I mean, I heard that in the beginning, but I mean, I think Matt Smith and David Tennant had like won those people over, and you know. Doctor Who had really grabbed a kids audience again, like huge. And I think they completely alienate him with like Logan's not in the show anymore. It's too dark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's a huge mistake. And I know we're talking about a kid show here, but you can still have a show that attracts kids and has kids and it can still be adult. There is a way to do it, you know? And I just don't know if Moffat's comfortable writing that, to be honest with you. I think Moffat.
I don't know if Moffat can write.
Yeah, exactly. Because I
don't know if he can write for kids.
Sherlock is fucking flawless. You know, it's flawless. I can't say I watched a Sherlock episode that I hated or thought that was less. They're all really great. And the same can't be said for Doctor Who, unfortunately. But you can never say that for Doctor Who. But it's always consistently pretty damn good. You know. I think it was just Capaldi's still going to be a tough sell. You know, at this point, and I'm using myself as a barometer because I'm still a relatively new Who fan, but I mean, I'm not giving up or jumping off the ship. I can't wait till next season. And I think Capaldi did a great job this year. I'm just not sure I like him, you know?
Yeah. You know, and this thing, it's like even though we got 12 episodes from him, it's still like, it doesn't feel like his story's done. Like, I would be more than happy to say goodbye to him next season. Like, if he regenerated in the Christmas special, I would feel like that was kind of a waste. Because even with, like, Eccleston, by the end of Eccleston's run, like, I'm like, it was hard for me to actually, like, get into him as a doctor, this is my introduction to Doctor Who, you're my first doctor, let's see this. But it wasn't until, like, those final few episodes where I was like, when I finally was like, oh, Eccleston, yes, and I'm like, oh, wait, you're changing to Tennant, okay.
It's all apples and oranges, but when it comes down to theatrical acting, okay, and the craft of acting, Eccleston was the best. Eccleston was the best actor. He just, you know, that shows you what a pro he is, because you know the guy's a total pain in the ass, and he's always got something to complain about, and he's probably his own worst enemy, and he's probably kept himself from getting roles because he is so fucking talented, dude. He is so fucking talented, and he just sold it as the Doctor, and he was the plainest Doctor there was. I mean, there was nothing to his costume. But man, it was just, you could see it in his face, man. He bought in, like just completely bought in. Even when he knew he was leaving, he still just played it right. And, you know, and you know that his ending was a fuck you to the BBC. Whatever problems he had that he probably just made up in his head, or just, he probably just didn't want to play the role longer. And it all turned out for the best. It really did. I mean, I'm sorry we didn't get more Eccleston, but we got Tennant out of it, you know? It does feel like a completely different show now. It tone-wise, and I know they wanted that, but...
Well, I think the show needs to do that every few years. Yeah,
it does.
Because when you go through from where 4 ended, like when it was when the Davies eras ended, and you got into the Moffat, there was a tone. The show took a changed tone with season 5, and I think it's been in that kind of tone bubble for a while, for like the last like three and a half years. So I think bringing in Capaldi is like, oh, here's a way to shift everything, because each new Doctor is supposed to bring something different to the table.
Well, and when you have an older Doctor, you expect wisdom. And I don't know if I get a lot of wisdom out of it. See, because I'm not an ageist, okay? I love Gandalf and I love Dumbledore. Those are my two favorite characters in both of those respective stories, are the oldest guys. And it's because they're wise. And I do, we do get some with Capaldi, but his patience. You expect patience. Well, some old men are not patient, but those are not the kind of you want to listen to.
It's something that we've brought up in past podcasts. It's that he had the fucked up regeneration, and a lot of his actions, or especially in the early episodes, were those of like a newborn babe. Like, perfect. Yeah. It was the curiosity and the wonderment of all this stuff, like do. And I do kind of feel like it's he's growing up himself. It's not going to be. It's like a much quicker thing. That it's just like that he's putting those, like he's bringing himself back up.
Yeah, and it's all how you come into the world. You know what I mean? And I think you just put it squarely. I'm going to give you a weird analogy for that. It was like when we were having an event at the comic shop, right? And there's a line of people out front, and instead of taking the 3 hours I should have to get ready, I took a half an hour, and I was just like frazzled. And when I opened the door, even though everything was ready, I wasn't. And it's all that's how it affects your view in the world. So everybody still had a good time, but I was fucking frazzled, and that's maybe the Doctor is just frazzled. Maybe he's just, instead of being the new, like, look at all these wonderful things, it's more like all these things are coming at me. It's like it's all
bright lights.
So it's that's probably what it's like.
I think it was the fact it's like he regenerated himself. The regeneration happened, and it was a lot more energy coming to him, and it was very much like popping up into the world, and it's just like, oh, there's a lot of stimulation here, and I don't know how to handle any of this stimulation.
Yeah. And the feelings change, and he has no control over that. So we dived in the episode. We got, and at the end of that episode, they both lied to each other, and we got one of the most powerful scenes in any Doctor Who, and like I think since Tennant's breakdown on the waters of Mars, I think we saw the Doctor his most emotional ever. So this Doctor actually gave us something that I was completely surprised at when he went out and Missy had given him the coordinates of Gallifrey. And she said it was right where it was before.
Yep.
And he went there and it wasn't there. And he had a breakdown and he started just beating the crap out of the TARDIS. And that was I saw the emotion I needed to see out of him. And like I see, like that's what he cares about the most. I think he holds out hope that Gallifrey's still there. I mean, you and I, as a viewers, know it's still there. We do, and well, the Master being back proves it. But I guess they're trying to incense that he might not find it. Maybe it's not findable. And we all just want to go home at the end.
Or it's like what they did in, like, going back to season 4. It's taken a split second out of time, so it's there but not there, kind of thing.
And I'm wondering if he didn't take that into account. And I'm always wondering now, because Moffat's timey-wimey, so he always keeps us guessing, like, what's out of time at what we're watching, because this was a pretty linear season. But I guarantee you, he put something that's out of time. It's like when the 13th Doctor was in the 50th anniversary special. At what point did he go back?
Yeah.
So is that the end? Is that him finding it?
I'm wondering if that's going to be his end. Is his first scene of just his eyes is what you see? So I am kind of wondering. Yeah, it's like, are they going to? Is that how his end is? It's like he does. That's how he helps find Gallifrey.
And speaking of ends, we have Clara coming to an end clearly. Let's. Who are your early picks for companion? Because I guarantee you, we've already met the companion.
I think so too. I think they've like we said, they've introduced so many interesting and new people this season that they could do, and that's what you did. Like go back for past companions. Martha had appeared in the finale of 10. They addressed it as that was her cousin.
Yep.
Donna was a focal point in the Christmas special that went back to. Amy had appeared in a previous episode in Fires of Pompeii So it's like, so they've, and then she got her part, and then Clara had her.
Well, Clara popped up while Amy was still around. Which was one of the biggest surprise. Like, no spoilers were dropped on that one, and we were just like, our jaws dropped when we saw her.
Yeah. Well, especially because after when we were introduced to Clara, it was she's a Dalek, and everyone's like, okay, well, I thought, what's the big speculation? They made such a big deal about her because it was rumored that they already stated they were leaving and that this was the new companion. But you're like, wait, she's a Dalek. What the hell's going on? So I'm either thinking it's going to be someone who has appeared in the past episode and it's just like a new persona of them, like it's not a new persona, but it's like it's a different character, or he's going to go back and bring in Journey Blue, Cybra, Psy. I think those are the three that I would be more than happy with having. Yeah. Even if you brought back all fucking three, that would be amazing. Yeah. But I think Psy and Cyber have to be together.
It would be cool.
I think they work better together than apart.
I think that would be very cool to have an ensemble.
Even though Cybra worked more with Capaldi's doctor in the episode, Psy was mostly with Clara. So I'm like, so you kind of saw that there. Because I actually had thought of it like after before the episode aired. I thought of, when we were talking about how wouldn't it be cool if they brought everyone back kind of thing, about how do we save Danny from this, and the first thing I thought of was Psy uploading Danny into himself, like connecting with the Nevosphere, but they didn't bring any of those characters back. Nope. I was like, oh,
well, I mean, it's still out there.
Being written over there, yeah.
And I still think
again, it's still out there, so it's a way that you might be able to bring him back later on, possibly, and then give Clara her official ending.
Well, I think Clara's going to be pregnant. I still think that's going to be why she stops.
When they introduced Orson, that was your clue there, that we're like,
yeah,
there's unless they're like, it said it was her timeline, unless he wasn't a fixed point.
Yep. Well, and it's clearly at the end, because at one of the endings we get Santa at the end. He clearly says this is not the way we're going to end it. We're going to work this out. Now, I don't think he meant work it out like we're going to work it out and get these two kids back together. I think we're going to work it out so they have a good ending.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what we get. And I think we get another season of Capaldi. It was interesting. I guess he's coming back for season 9. Nobody's come out and said, I am back. He said he's going to be Doctor Who for a while. Okay. But he did, and some people took and ran with this, that he's going to be Doctor Who for years. But he followed that statement up by saying, but this is an 8-month-a-year job, and I've got kids, and I'm traveling all the time, and you're shooting all the time. I mean, I know we only got 12 episodes, but guess what? They've been shooting a Christmas episode. They get a break for the holidays, and they start shooting again in late January. And as far as acting work, that's a lot of work. I mean, we complain, they're actors and stuff, but when you do a TV show like this, you're actually putting in tons of hours.
Exactly. They're and they're not 8-hour days. They're 10 to 12, 14, 16. Sometimes you can be on set for a good 24 hours and just get a nap in, because of just it's based on shots happening, time of day, if it's a night shoot, and then weather taken into account. It's if they're working on especially if they're filming on location.
And it's freaking
if they're
cold.
Working if they're working in a sound studio or a sound stage, it's it's a lot easier to to keep control of your environment. But when you're doing on location shoots, the weather plays a factor too. It's you can't shoot if it's a thunderstorm and your scene is needs to be a quiet night, things like that.
I just thought of something. I think, and this sucks, but this is why I think the Doctor shouldn't be totally young. We can go back to this argument forever and ever, but I think an ideal Doctor's in his late 40s, early 50s. And this is why, and I think this is why the BBC went to an older Doctor, because I was thinking, Capaldi is probably going to quit. I still think he'll quit after next year because all this fame and popularity and kids running after him doesn't mean that much to a 60-year-old dude. Period.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't. It's a different phase of your life. Now you got a young 27, 30-year-old Matt Smith who always had one foot out the door. Let's face it. I mean, he always was every year I heard he was leaving. And he stayed, and I don't think that BBC wants that again. with any doctor, male or female. I don't think they will go young. I think it'll be a long time before we see a 30-year-old doctor again, because he'll always have one foot out the door. Like, am I going to be in a Marvel movie?
Unless you get someone who's been in the business so long that they're like, I want something
Doctor
more
Who should
stable.
always be a good English character actor. Period.
Yep.
A character actor. David Tennant's a character actor. Sorry, not a lead man, although he's got my vote for when Marvel gets the Fantastic Four back to be Reed Richards. But, oh my God, if you want to hear about that awful Fantastic Four movie, just listen to the Sutro-Watchtower podcast coming up. We freaking, I don't know if you...
I usually just, there are moments where I'm like, is it wrong of me to skip ahead?
Oh, God. So let's do a little speculation. Again, overall...
The one thing I think we haven't talked enough about, fucking Missy.
Missy, okay, yes, exactly. Okay, let's get into Missy.
Because Missy had so many... It's like Missy was just the perfect bit of, like, fun and crazy during the entire episode, where you weren't sure, is she full-on evil? Is there more to it? Like, she kept playing you, and then when she shot Osgood, you're like, oh, well, you're a fucking crazy
but
bitch.
still, it's still, at her end, which we'll get to, and I'm sorry to interrupt, was so wonderful. Yeah. Except, I'm not her real end, but when she revealed why she was doing this. So
that's what I'm saying. That's what I want to talk about, where it was like, when she explained everything on why she did it, why she's been building herself up, building this army of Cybermen, this and that, and it was all because she wanted her friend back. And it was this whole thing of you like, now they're yours to control. You don't need this. We can, you don't need this and that anymore. You don't have to worry, kind of thing. And it was like, I did this all for you.
It kind of was logical.
It was so logical too. It's like she gave, like, it wasn't like she just it was a ramblings of a mad woman. It was no, this is someone who actually put a lot of thought and energy into this and was like, I did this. I was, especially in the girl in the shop. She was the girl in the shop. She's the one who did this. She's been
all across his timeline
putting like the chess pieces together.
Do you think the Doctor would just kill that? Especially, I mean, I know this is a different personality and stuff, but considering how much Tennant tried to not kill, I mean, like, let the Master kill a lot of people to save him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to save him because he wanted his friend back. And I think after the events of the end of time, that Master was actually grateful. I think this changes the Master forever. I don't think the Master is just going to be some. I still think it's going to be he's going to be he or she is going to be an antagonist to Doctor Who, but I think it's going to be more as a stalker, and it's really sticky when you make her a woman because you want to tread carefully, Moffit. When you make things women, you want to make them strong because of the fair or not perception of you out there on certain internet sites. Okay. I mean, I don't, I'm a male. I don't know what's, I know what sex is somewhat, but I mean, I don't know what it's like, but
no, that's the thing is what you just said, making Missy because no matter what, it would be like,
it wasn't a lover. It was a friend. So that made it.
It was a friend. And because you only referred to him as my boyfriend mean you in the first episode.
Yep.
Which you could have just easily been playing as, he's a boy and he's a friend kind of thing. But yeah, it was the whole thing. If you decide to, like, if Missy returns only to regenerate into someone new, it's like, and if they have the same thought process as she did, no matter who you get, then it's going to be like, oh, there's your gay angle for Doctor Who. It's it's the creepy ex who won't go away. It's just like, I'm like, I would much rather.
There are friends like that out there, by the way. That isn't sexual at all, and that's actually happened to me. But
I'm right here, Gary. God damn it.
Sorry.
But I would much rather have the Doctor's new companion be a gay man. That's not Captain Jack. I love Captain Jack, but it's just like Captain Jack's a little too all over the place for me sometimes.
Yeah, I think that would be I'd be okay with it. I think we need a man companion. And if anything, just because if you want to break up a dynamic, I mean, break it to hell. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't mean you can't go back. I think there's this persona out there that if you make the Doctor a woman or if you do this, it can never go back. It can be whatever it wants to be. Let's see where the story takes us, but let's not force in things. But I think why not? It would be part of the story. I think the Time Heist guy would be a perfect companion. I forgot his name right now. Psy. I think Psy would. I would watch Psy. But I want to before we get into the new companion, I want to take this speculation with Missy further because that was she's not dead, not by a long shot. The Doctor would have never killed her. Not even for fucking Clara, and the Master would have foreseen it. And Michelle Gomez was so perfect. She was so good. Amazing. Slow, flawless that I wanted more, but you always want to leave him wanting more. But let's go back to what I'm considering probably the best episode of the series for me, because I've rewatched it enough, was The Mummy on the Orient Express. That was a really great Doctor Who episode. And there's a big mystery with that, with Gus. Who in the F was Gus? He's been trying to get Doctor Who on this train for a long time. So, and it ain't the Master. So, what's out there? What's the big red herring out there? The big 1,100-pound pink elephant or in the room or whatever. The Valiard. Now, I've heard a lot that the BBC has said, no Valiard, we don't talk about it. But since you actually did bring his name up in the Time of the Doctor, I think, and now we are at the time. This is when the Valiard is supposed to show up. I think we get the Valiard next season. This is just an early prediction. And I think he was Gus. I don't know what he wanted with that technology, but we got to think about the technology that Gus wanted too, which was this self-perpetuating thing that keeps you alive if you're organic. And you can also teleport and phase out of time. Or that could have been the Master now that I think about it. Or the Master, I mean, Moffit loves to use like with the flesh, for example. We're going to find out next season. Remember season 6 of Doctor Who with Matt Smith? There was a lot of stuff from season 5 that built up to season 6, but season 5 was so good in its own right. We really didn't think about it much until season 6 rolled around, and then we're like, wow, there was an awful lot of unanswered questions, and then they, went ahead to go and answer some of them and then not answer some until 7. Moffat hasn't changed that. So that's the cool thing about this show is we got a whole season and then we get, so there's still an openness now. So, and then right after I pick up this phone from my wife, I want you to tell me what you think is going to happen next year. Hi, honey. I'm podcasting with Harry. Podcasting with Harry. She says, hi, Harry.
I can hear her.
Not yet, but right after the podcast. Okay. I'll put him in the bath, but let me finish this up. Okay? Love you. Bye. Okay. So, what, now I could be totally wrong. What are your, I don't know if you gave it any thought. What do you think about next season? What are your thoughts?
I didn't give it any thought.
Of course not. So just wing it, dude.
Right now, I'm on who are the new queens on RuPaul's Drag Race season 7? That's where I'm at right now. Priorities, Gary. Priorities. Gay before Doctor. I don't know. I think it's like I think I'll probably base it more off of once the Christmas special ends. Because if that officially is her goodbye episode for Clara, it's either going to be that, or I feel they're going to wrap her up within the first 2 episodes of the next season, and then kind of be like, here's either do a new companion within an episode. It's just I don't know. It's
if there's going to be a new companion, Harry, they've already picked her, him or her him. Or it, or it's already been done. Believe me.
Well, because that's the thing too. It's companions pass with every Doctor's had either it's gone from having 1 to 4 people in that TARDIS at one point, depending on who your Doctor is, and they've written the youngest one was was the 5th Doctor, he had the youngest companion, the boy that died. I
think we're due for an ensemble myself.
I think it'd be a good time for I think because the thing is, we've seen Capaldi has worked well with a large group of people.
Yep.
It's shown having that, and I think having two people on the TARDIS that are not dating, because I think that was, I think that would work out. Having two people who have no interest in each other, they're not in love with the Doctor.
Yep.
I don't want anyone like there because they want to fuck the Doctor. I just want a companion there because they want to go on an adventure.
Adventures. Yeah, I definitely want more adventures.
And that's what Clara weirdly was. By the end, it was she wanted to go on an adventure, but she was now at that point in life where it's like, I actually have a good guy waiting for me back home, but I can't say no to what's behind the blue door kind of thing. And it would be nice. I think it'd be good to get someone who has no ties to the present or even the past, or wherever he finds them, or have like Rogue, where it's like it's a dead end. She's at a dead end right now, and by going on this adventure, it's reawakening up her passions in her life and all that stuff.
Yep. Well, I agree, and I think it's also cements the fact in the Doctor's head that like I cannot date my companions. I mean, because it got really complicated, and again, you know what I mean? And it's like, does this Doctor still love Rose? I mean, who knows? It's
like exactly. Or did he let Rose go?
Yeah.
What the Metacrisis Doctor took his place.
Still waiting for the Metacrisis Doctor to come back.
Or exactly, because after Metacrisis, that's where you got River Song, and so it's like, is he
four wives? Now we know one of them was Marilyn Monroe. But 4 wives, 4 grandchildren, 2 children, 4 grandchildren, 4 wives.
Yeah, because the only grandchild we ever seen is
and then the clone daughter too that they
and the clone daughter, which I loved her.
Awesome.
I love when they referenced Jenny, who I would love to see. That could be his companion coming back. It's like, Dad, you aged, you got older.
Oh my God, that would be wonderful. That would be
She's a character that I just want her to return just for an episode.
Awesome companion, but she just had a kid, as you can see if you watch the 5-ish Doctors, which was funny. Yeah. Her eating a bunch of ice cream, not very stereotypical for a pregnant woman. So we got a Christmas special coming up, Harry, and I don't know what to think of it, man. I mean, I saw a trailer and I saw some things that kind of look like Waters of Mars or some alien mouths opening up. And Santa Claus, and I don't know how that's going to fit in. And it's supposed to be really Santa Claus. They're not joking.
Exactly. I'm like, if they do an Ernest Saves Christmas type of feel, that'd be hilarious. The Doctor Who Saves Christmas.
You know what's in part of my, aside from just Doctor Who, my regular Christmas rotation is always like National Lampoon's Vacation, Scrooged, but part of it is now the Doctor Who Christmas Carol. That is just like that's my favorite Christmas special. I know there's that one is so fucking good, man. It is very Christmassy, and just well done. I just love that one for some reason. And it's cheesy. It's got singing at the end and flying sharks, but I love it. I don't know why. Sharks that fly. It's like Sharknado with Doctor Who, except it's better. So yeah, Harry's put zero thought into speculation. I have actually, but I mean, you know what? You came up with a good answer. And we want more Missy, but I just don't think we're going to get it next season. I think we're going to get it maybe towards the end. But Moffit came out at the beginning of season 8 and announced it and reiterated it 2 weeks ago that we're not going to see the season 9 finale coming. Like, it's supposed to be the doozy of all doozies. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you what that is, but
where does when season 9 hits, where along is that, like, anniversary wise for the Doctor?
Well, season 9 is actually going to be the 10th anniversary of the new series.
Of New Who.
They said they're going to do no special for, but they could. That would mean that I wouldn't do just a special. I would just make it an extra special series where you bring people back. It was we'll wrap this up. In my personal opinion, I will give this I give this series 3.5 out of 5 TARDISes. I don't know. I would say.
Yeah, I would say about the same. Like, it wasn't great, but it was still solid.
Yeah.
Like, I think it had solid writing, it had solid acting, had an amazing supporting cast. The Missy villain was amazing, and Michelle Gomez was hands down. She was fucking amazing, and yeah. I'll go with 3.5.
I think it was an improvement on the previous season for the most part. So we'll see what happens next season. I don't know what the ratings were. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
They're not going to give up on Doctor Who. It's still like, whatever ratings are in England, dude, it's watched. If you counted all the ratings across the world, it's probably the most watched television show in the world this side of Top Gear. And Top Gear's on season 57. So who knows? It could go forever. I hope it does. I hope it do. I do love the Who. So, we're going to get a 9th season, and I guarantee we're going to get a 10th. In the meantime, I've got Game of Thrones. Oh, no, it's months away. I don't know what I'm going to fucking do. You know what? I'll continue. I actually stopped at the middle of Baker, so I'm going to continue watching the classic in order, which... I'm actually looking forward to Sylvester McCoy, Doctor Who. So I got plenty to keep me through, and we can rewatch this series. We got the Christmas special coming up, but there's also the holidays, and there's other TV shows, and this won't be
season.
This won't be the last time you see Harry, because I'm going to invite Harry right now to join Dennis and I on the Sutro-Watchtower podcast. Not every time, but when you get a chance, so we can talk about other things.
Other things. Ooh, what are other things?
Well, the Sutro-Watchtower podcast is like anything nerd or anything closely related. So I would love. Are you a Hunger Games fan?
Yes, I just saw Mockingjay last night.
Okay, so save your opinion for the podcast, okay? Because actually, Melissa and I are going to go on Monday. We are recording this. It is Sunday, November 23rd. It is 5:55 Pacific time. 5:55. Yeah. So, and I'm looking forward to it. Looking actually a lot forward to it. And you're not, but I'm looking forward to The Hobbit. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. The Sutro-Watchtower podcast. It's our sister podcast under the Nerdrotic umbrella. So, Harry, it's been a fun season. The podcasts have been awesome. I know that.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. So, and as far as the Cult of Frisco, we will see you shortly before Christmas or right afterwards. I'm not sure, whatever our schedule allows. I'd like to do a podcast before Christmas, but there's got to be something to talk about because we've kind of done this season already. So unless some major news comes out about a companion, which could happen.
They could pop up a lot of stuff right before the Christmas special with news and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So So look for us like a little before Christmas, and then right after Christmas, and and then after that we'll do podcasts as news pops up. You know what I mean? And we'll be consistent when the season starts again. But also look for Harry joining us on the Sutro-Watchtower podcast. And it's been a lot of fun. Thank you all for listening. I just got to think of a title for this episode. I got one more clever title to think of.
I really want after Missy did her little "Hey Missy," I just want our ending to just be "Hey Mickey." Throw it back. "Hey Missy, you've been around all night, and that's a little wrong."
Missy. Hey, Missy.
Awesome.
Okay, Harry, love you.
Cyberman.
Bye, Gary.
And those in Wholand say wave goodbye. One more time. Cult of Frisco. Peace out from the west side, from the east side. Bye. See you, Harry.
Bye, Gary.
Have a good night.
You too.
Cyberman. 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 Cyberman.